Welcome back to Queued Up, everybody. We are in the midst of first stand, so a lot is going on. We also have some stories from around the league, but we finally have a full desk once again. Justin, Eli, and Davis are joining me. How y'all doing?
Terrible.
I'm doing great.
I made that joke in our rehearsal.
Excited to have all four of us back on the desk.
Yes,
yeah, it has been a while. It's been, what, 3 episodes or something?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
glad to be back.
First stand, but I'm glad we're all sitting here together.
Yeah, no standing.
Second sit? Never mind.
No, second sit. First sit down. Oh, no. Let's jump into the games here. First stand is going a little bit as expected, but this first series I think was a lot more entertaining than I thought it was going to be. I thought it might have been a 3-0 for BLG after that initial opening match, but Fear X looking good though.
Yeah, 100%. I'm excited to see. I think BLG, it's cool to see them. You know, last year they struggled with having a consistent jungler. They were going back and forth between two guys a lot, and I think Juns came back to the team and really shown that he's a really good jungler, and I think he played really well in this series, so it's good to see that they're kind of looking stable in the early start of the year.
Yeah, I've been really impressed by BLG so far. Ben has had some like ups and downs, I feel like, in the last year or so, but he is like playing his absolute best right now. He looks absolutely terrifying. Knight 2, though, Knight Akali in the series today was just absolutely decimating people. I mean, this guy is playing some of the best League I've ever seen him play.
Yeah, I think BLG is really defined by their solo lanes, just dominantly just taking it to anybody who they run into head-to-head and getting leads and then holding that lead through the late game. They usually don't seem like they're a team that wants to just like chill through the early game and then out team fight you. They want to find a way to get leads, and it seems like it's mostly Ben and Knight who are doing that. I think Knight's shown a ton of flexibility. We saw some crazy picks. We saw the Morgana mid in Game 5 of this series versus Fear X, which was really good. I mean, this era of Fearless potentially going to Game 5s, you really need to be flexible, and Knight's one of the most flexible in the game.
I'm a little disappointed in Viper though. I thought he was going to show up a little bit more, especially after how he performed last year on HLE. Of course, he is going up against Dyril here. Very good player, but really got worked over.
Yeah, I mean, Diablo's been the story of the tournament, in my opinion. Like, everything else has been kind of like resident sleeper, like you said, and predictable. But just seeing like this new player kind of shine in the moment and shut down the likes of Viper in this series at multiple times, it's been so impressive to watch. Now, today just became the second player in league history to get 2 pentakills at an international tournament. The last time it was done in 2011 by Imp when Diablo was 4 years old. So that's just crazy to me, and it's his first international. So the sky's the limit for this kid.
Definitely a lot to go forward to, but we have a lot of games to cover, so we're going to just go ahead and move straight over. G2 was the second series playing against Team Secret Wales in that Group A. I think everyone expected G2 to win, but I didn't really expect them to win this hard. Team Secret Wales had some shining points, but if you look at how CFO was last year comparative to how the LCP is now performing this year at first stand, it's really underwhelming, especially Team Secret Wales was a team that did go to Worlds last year. I thought that international experience might help them a little bit, but it didn't seem like it.
This was the Cap show. I mean, literally, I saw people type it in chat, one player region, LOL. Like, Cap's just hard carried like so well in this series. He was so impressive. The Ahri was insane. The Azir was insane. He didn't even have to do that much on the Galio from what I remember, but he was still taunting in every team fight perfectly. Like, I don't know. The guy played incredible, and when G2 plays like that, they actually have a solid chance to make a deep run. So I need to see more of that from Caps.
Yeah, Team Secret Wales definitely a little bit underwhelming. We talked about how good CFO was this past year. It's going to be hard to live up to someone who plays that good, but you know, they did okay. I think G2 is a great team to send to an international tournament like this. They've been around the block. They're used to playing these teams, and they look good and play good.
Yeah, I was impressed with Broken Blade again too. I think he's really played well, kind of since they've started their run. You know, at the beginning of the year when they weren't playing good, the whole team kind of had mishaps, but I think he's played really good, especially this event so far. So good to see him back on top of his game.
Yeah, his champ picks are a little weird. I wasn't sure if they were going to pick Rumble this tournament or not. They spent a bunch of time trying to figure it out for their last international, and it didn't work. Pulled it out game 1 of this. He looked solid, so I feel like he should be able to play that against some of the better teams. And then he gets into his weird stuff. He's playing Kled, Shin Top. I think we saw Shin Top in the series today too. Yeah. So wait, but that was from the other. No, it was Shin support. That's what it was. He got taken away from him.
Right.
He played the Shin in this.
He played the Shin, against Team Secret Wales. He was getting those solo kills top. That was actually pretty crazy that he was getting some of those on the Shin. But the Kled, like you're talking about, kind of seems like their pocket pick to go to for him, and it's not looked the best, in all honesty, in both games because they played against it with KC as well. really good split pushing power, and of course being able to remount saved him a good fair amount of times and kind of baited Team Secret Whales into some of those fights. So I want to see a little bit more from him. He wasn't, did the best. I think his Shin was probably the best game we've seen so far. But, they're definitely making their way up.
I want to see more on some of the meta stuff. I want to see like a really good Gnar game, a really good Renekton game, just to kind of like clean up those things. So I think if you come into a series against someone like Ben or Keen or something, you have to be able to play those or take them away from them. You can't give them 3 games on the 3 best champions. So
Yeah.
Orin looking pretty good on some of those teams as well, maybe get into that. Because right now, Hansa's, even though I think his KDA was pretty good, he's kind of been struggling a little bit. Maybe if they can get someone in that front line to really hold it down for him to start shining, because I know that's been kind of a sore spot for some of the G2 fans as well.
Yeah, the Ornn, I've noticed one thing about Ornn, everybody's using that skin that looks like Malphite. I don't know if that's like a weird like mental edge thing to use this pay-to-win skin, but it's made it weird to watch. Also, the Shin, I just want to comment on it. Like, you guys are saying it's not meta, but you guys clearly don't watch X-Petu videos because this guy knows how to make the Shin build work and do max damage.
Isn't that in jungle, though? Isn't he a jungler?
Okay, listen. It is mostly jungle, but
Chris had the,
you can still...
I didn't know who you were talking about.
You can
Chris
still
was like,
use it in top, though. You can still use it in top.
I mean, I like in the jungle, and it was working pretty well in the jungle. But I mean, top lane is a whole different beast right here.
It kind of makes it a triple flex pick now, though, right? Because you can play it top, jungle, or support. Like,
I mean, you feasibly could, but realistically, we hadn't seen anybody before on pull out the Shin support in a long time. Maybe like Core JJ and something like domestic, but I just feel like with the way supports are being played right now, Shin is not the pick that I would want. It's a solid one in that scenario. On likes the weird ones, and it's denying a pick from BB that he seems really confident on.
Yeah.
But truthfully, I think if you see Shin lock 99% of the time, you can assume it's going top.
right. But it is a triple threat flex,
Yeah, triple
which I
threat.
think late in the draft,
Classic.
for like a game 5 in Fearless, I think that's going to absolutely be used as a triple threat.
They got pulled out
Kinda
against him in a
wondering
game
how-
1 of Fearless.
That's
so.
true.
Right. Which
Sometimes
is
you want to hold on to those game 5 drafts, or game 1 drafts and game number 5, kind of like yesterday. We'll talk a little bit more about Group A here. So LPL's Knight in Shining Armor. Knight coming out massive, as Eli was talking about a little bit earlier. As we know, LPL struggled last year. They want to redeem themselves, and BLG are on their way to do that.
I will say, and I just got done saying how great Caps was playing in the last series. Caps did not have a good series today. And I think that their team in general just was not playing themselves. G2 seems like a team that like they all kind of really need to be feeling it to like build momentum. And Billy just did not let them build any momentum whatsoever. This was an absolute stomp. I was hoping for a closer match. Obviously, these two teams have a lot of history. I mean, G2 beat them at Worlds, if I'm not mistaken, right? Most recently. So, yeah, I wanted this to be closer. I think if G2 was playing their best, it would have been, but they just weren't.
Pretty sure 100 Thieves got that win also. That was like the one win.
They did,
One
that's
good
right.
win as well.
Yeah.
But this time, that's not to be. I mean, they're looking really good. As you were talking about Knight, though, that Akali at the end, especially that triple kill he got kind of during that botch dragon that could have gotten them soul, and he comes in and just absolutely obliterates them. And I think this is what we need stepping up if LPL wants to contend with the likes of Gen G, if that's who they're going to end up facing, because they've already beat FearX, but it was really close, and FearX got destroyed by Gen G in the finals, so they need to step up, and so far, Knight's doing a great job.
Yeah, I think Knight's played really good. Ben played really good. In that game 2, his Gnar was just like a monster. It was just such a force. I think he had like a 2K goal lead like 20 minutes into the game, which is just so absurd. And Ben's the kind of guy who can really push a lead like that, take over a game. Sometimes he'll even turn a losing scenario into a good one after the fight. Like G2 would take the Drake, and then Ben would just make a crazy solo play by himself on the backside of the fight, even things up and really secure it. And Ben is kind of like what I was talking about earlier about wanting to see more out of Broken Blade. We looked at him in this series, played Mbessa game 1, Gnar game 2, Renekton game 3. Like, that is prime, like, comfort, dominant champs who will run the game from top if you got a big guy.
Yeah. I got to shout out On too, like you said, had a great series.
Yep.
He looked really good on the Lulu in game 3, just completely taking over in some of the team fights to enable Knight to do the crazy stuff on Akali. So this team just looks like they're really playing with a lot of chemistry right now, and if they can carry that forward, I could see them making a run to the very end. So
yeah, I don't know how much of a chance they might have against the Gen G in a grand final, but I think them losing now, watching them beat BFX 3-2, I think they should be expecting to make it all the way to the grand finals.
yeah.
Hopefully they could, if they can make it interesting, if they do make it all that way. G2, though, they still do have one more chance. They will move down to that lower bracket to face whoever finishes the match today between Team Secret Wales and Fear X. Right. So, but their drafting has been a little weird. So earlier I did want to touch on this. Like Hansama was talking about, he really needs to kind of step up to help like the likes of Caps. Caps isn't having his best games. But we saw like the Senna in game 1, and that was kind of confusing. So I don't know if that's just something they were trying to pull out because they know they have a lifeline, or if this is something that they practice. But it was kind of iffy for me.
Yeah, to me, it's probably something they like maybe just thought would be a trick up their sleeve. People wouldn't expect, but I don't know. It's just not in this meta right now. You can't be picking weak champions in game 1, like you said. And I don't think there's really anything you can do to throw people like BLG off, right? Like they're just gonna be ready for it. Like you could kind of see them in the draft after G2 picks. They were just laughing. Like they're literally like, oh yeah, we've got an answer for that. Like who cares? Like they're not going to be caught off guard.
Yeah, I'm just not a big fan of the Senna pick either. I just don't think you can really match the carries that are really relevant right now with like Ashe and Yunara, like high damage champions, high attack speed. I just don't think Senna's a good match for that at all. Especially into the Ashe this match, I just don't think it was good.
I didn't mind the Senna too much. Honestly, I had more of an issue with the Annie pick in the mid lane. I think if you're going to have a little bit of like scaling passivity in the bot lane, and you have Poppy up top and just kind of trying to counter the Mbessa, which did a pretty good job. I think BB actually solo killed Bin in that matchup. But I want to see something more aggressive from Caps, not the Andy that's just going to be on the back foot, constantly having his flash force, not able to set up for those flash engages or anything. So I think it could have worked with some mid. I do agree, probably shouldn't have been a game 1 strat, but there were some moments. They got first blood, I think, actually, like very early on in that game. And I mean, I feel like if you put me 5 minutes into that game and my Senna Nautilus has first blood, I feel like I'm in a good position. Still wasn't able to make it happen.
The final game of Group X is going on, or Group A is going on right now. Fear X versus Team Secret Wales. Fear X going whale hunting, trying to get that. They were up 2-0 when we started. Right now, though, they are trying to bring it back. Team Secret Wales is actually up 12 kills to 10, but Fear X is moving kind of into their tier 3s. This is a big, game for both teams. Whoever loses is eliminated. Whoever wins faces G2. But out of the first 2 games that we saw so far, who really impressed you?
I mean, I guess I jumped the gun when I talked about Diablo earlier, but yeah, I mean, it's been Diablo for sure. He gets the pentakill. I mean, honestly, the pentakill wasn't that impressive. It's like in their fountain when they've already won the game for the most part. Still a cool stat to get regardless, but I mean, even outside of that, in this game too, he was on Kalista. They had the Kalista Renata bot lane, and Diablo is just gliding and doing whatever he wants. Played this dragon fight perfectly to like dodge multiple ults, flash over the wall. Then he got the Renata, like the revive mechanic, and purposefully waited till that was active to then rend one player to stay alive, and then got 2 more kills after it. Like that was a disgusting play. If you guys haven't seen it, I recommend go back and watch that highlight, because this kid, he's next up, man. He's incredible.
I spoke too soon, so they actually just won.
Yeah, they did just win right now.
They did just win, so we do know it's going to be Fear X facing off G2 on Friday. But, I mean, this team looking really good. Unfortunately, Team Secret Wales is out, as I accidentally almost take out my mic pack here.
It's all right.
Yeah, so
I think a big shout, like Diablo's very clearly getting a bunch of credit, and it is deserved. He's playing really well and shut it down. But I like the jungler. Raptor, I think, is looking really, really good. I had a lot of high hopes for Clear up in the top lane, too, but Clear's been a little bit hit or miss. He's been getting solo killed. He's been getting some solo kills. It's not really the rock of the top lane that I had kind of had this player sold to me coming into the tournament. But Raptor, I think, is doing really good. He facilitates the game, gets leads for both his solo lane and that bot lane. And I think that's how BFX wins. If Raptor is able to make something happen, get some resources pushed down into the bot lane, you've got that reliable carry down there to kind of punch it home. So big shout out to Raptor.
Vikla been insane too. Vikla in the mid lane. This series not as much, but like he's had some good games. He's had some bad games too.
Yeah, he started the tournament off in a terrible way, getting soloed by Knight in just a completely egregious manner.
He got solo killed the first like 4 games, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
But he made up for it and came back. And in game 5, he did not get solo killed. And
he's learning.
Get it out of the way early.
I think he's made some good plays. He's just holding it down. I feel like mid lane is also just really volatile in the meta. Anyways, like you're just getting, like they're forcing your flash out early, and then you'd have no options in the next fight. Like he had a big target on his back. So.
I think he's playing against a tough player. In Knight. And I think
course.
we give Chovy so many flowers for being the best player in the world, the best mid in the world, but Knight is like so close behind him, and in arguably some aspects in more of like dominating you, solo killing you in lane. I think Knight's a bigger threat than Chovy in that regard. Chovy is just going to out CS you and just dominate you in the little minimums, the fundamentals of the game, whereas Knight will just make you look, just embarrass you.
Yeah, 100%. I'm excited to see the matchup versus G2 though. I think that this is a great matchup with veterans versus kind of new rookie guys. I do think that Furex will end up winning the tournament, or winning the matchup.
Whoa. We have a whole segment for that.
Winning the matchup just because their overall skill, I think, is a little bit better, and they're a little bit hotter right now on a streak. But I do think it could get interesting with the series going to maybe map 4 or 5.
So that is Group A. We do know who is moving on, so it will be BLG and Furex moving on from Group A. So let's go ahead and talk about Group B, the group of death here. Oh, good.
We don't know the Furex. Furex has to beat G2.
Oh, right. Sorry. Yeah. Furex is at least moving on from this one. My bad.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's go and move on to Group B, though. Gen.G versus JDG in that first match. Oof, that was rough.
Yeah, I mean, I made a short about this where Hongq gets the really sick solo kill on Chovy, like fakes like he's done with the trade, but then flashes in and hits him with the Aurora ability. Which was really sick, but then it's like that was kind of the last moment that they felt really good in this series. The rest of it was just kind of a stomp. It felt like Gen.G just plays their team fights with such precise and perfect timing and positioning against everyone. It's so impressive to watch how coordinated they are and how they know how to get the absolute maximum value out of these team fights over and over again. And like JDG wasn't playing that bad. It's just that Gen.G was playing so incredible that they didn't have a chance.
Yeah, Gen.G, I mean, just absolute monsters. This team looks so good. They play everything well, and I think they've really settled into a good way to play the game where they're picking the most basic, run-of-the-mill, normal compositions in every single spot aside from mid. And then they're letting Chovy throw a little bit of spice in there. TF game 1, Hui in game 3. I mean, those aren't the most crazy picks out ever, but they're not just the most basic. We're not seeing just Orianna, Azir, Syndra, and stuff like that. And Chovy's the one I trust to get kind of flexible like that. And this team has very high expectations on them. I feel like an undefeated run is the only expectation.
Yeah, I think it's. I expected a little bit more from JDG just because I think they have a tremendously talented roster as well. I don't think it's to the level of Gen.G, but I do think they have enough talent on the roster to at least win one of these maps, but they weren't able to do it. The big difference that I see between the two teams, in my opinion, is actually in the jungle, and I think that Canyon's just. I think Junja is a. We saw it last year. You know, he has the ability to kind of solo carry some games, and when he's up against a jungler that maybe isn't as good as Canyon, I think he has the ability to do that. But Canyon's just too good. He's not going to allow the objectives of the game to slip away to the point where Junja can't find those advantages to really get ahead, and I think that kind of hurt them in this series.
He doesn't really give them any opportunity to.
Yeah.
I mean, piggybacking off of that, the thing about Gen.G that's probably one of my favorite things to watch is even if they go down 0-3, which I believe in game 1 they did go down like 0-3, is how close they keep the lanes. Like that gold, but there's no lead for JDG after getting 3 kills going up early. Like the gold was staying relatively close. And then I believe it was during that one dragon fight where they get the 3 kills back, get the dragon, they just even up the game. And then that's where they start taking it that step forward. And that's been like almost their whole MO. It's just how close can we keep the game? And I think I saw an interview from Inspired when they're going up against, when they play tomorrow against Gen.G. It's like, you have to survive the lane phase. You can't, get too far behind or else the game is over. Team fights are where anything can happen. That's where we have to get them. And that was kind of the opposite of what JDG was doing. They're getting good team fights early or good pickoffs early, but the lane phase didn't go their way, and then bam.
One thing that I want to talk about with Gen.G too is, I don't know if you guys have seen it, there's been a little bit of drama on the Twitter sphere. There was a Brazilian co-streamer who did an interview with Chovy. The interview was approved by the team and stuff, but things kind of got out of hand right there. It seemed like he was almost like making fun of Chovy a little bit, showing you like a popcorn bucket meme, which is like a thing for choking and stuff. And then there was a tweet that came out right after that also felt like it was kind of in bad taste. The Gen.G CEO Arnold was tweeting about it a bunch and giving some clarity to people about like, we only approved just like a basic interview. Like this is not what anybody was expecting and stuff. And it did kind of get resolved. I think the co-streamer reached out and apologized, and they've gotten to the point, but Gen.G's moving on. Moving on from that to focus on the tournament. So it's good.
I didn't see that directly, but to me it just sounds like, I mean, we live in the attention economy, right? Like people are just trying to do anything for attention, and that's probably what that journalist was doing, right? Like he got his 15 seconds of fame, I guess, and now they're talking about him. Maybe more people watch his stuff, but it's like,
well, that's the thing.
at what cost?
I think the big distinction there is that we shouldn't be treating the co-streamers like they're professional journalists.
Right.
Like, if you get just a Twitch streamer who's, what are they good at? They're good at entertaining chat, and you put them on there and give them what seems like a professional opportunity, they're probably just going to mess around and cause issues and stuff. I think we should be having professional journalists, like maybe some GGN talent out there interviewing people. I know Chris would be extremely respectful for Chovy.
Oh, 100%.
Chris would, Chris would
really
go
happy
crazy
for
in an
that.
interview with Chovy.
All the right questions for that one.
Yeah.
Moving on from that, we'll continue along talking about Brazil. NA finally got its lick backs in a very close series, though. Loud.
Yeah.
They brought it to that game 5, and it looked really good. But for me, this series was the games that were won by each team were done very convincingly. So I really want to see how both teams show up after. Of course, both teams go up against really great teams in both the winners and losers. But Lion definitely started off really well in that game 1, though.
This whole series was inspired, carried. I just want to say that from my perspective.
Yeah.
I think without him, they probably lose pretty hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, as usual, I mean, any team with Inspired kind of ends up being that way. I felt like there was honestly a little bit of a gap in the mid lane. Saint versus Envy Envy looked like the better player. The Rise game, he was just completely dominating, pumping out all the damage. Looked really solid late in the series too. That was not expected. I would have expected Saint to handle business there.
And Saint had a couple advantages too. Like there was a few fights I remember where Envy came out on top of the trade, where Saint had a clear advantage going into it, and he just kind of got outplayed in a few scenarios. So
I gotta say, I want to shout out Isles because a lot of people had question marks about Isles, but his recon in Game 5, I think, won them that game. He had the most perfect engages every single team fight and literally charmed the whole other team twice, I think, which is pretty hard to do on recon, especially in a high pressure situation. So shout out to Isles. He had a great series. He had a couple of bad games this series, I think, but he clutched up when it mattered most.
For me, I need Lion to make sure that Berserker is on a handbrake carry the whole entire time. His Unar looked really good, but then you put him on the Jhin, and then everyone's sleeping. Like, why are we putting him on Jhin when he can literally, almost come up with some of the best mechanical plays that we're going to see in this game? And, finally they got him on Corki, but you're taking a look at those Game 5 drafts here. We're talking about what looked like Game 1. Like, you get the Xin Zhao, you get the Jax top, so I'm like, what are we doing? What are we doing Game 4 here? We could have ended it.
Especially because he got behind early. I mean, I think his opponent had 2 items, or almost 3 items by the time he got his first. And Jhin first item is a big power spike, but then you kind of just coast until the very end when maybe you have 6 items, right? And he just wasn't really a part of it. I agree. I think that Berserker needs to play more hyper carry, maybe more mobile champions that can just do more. It hurts me to say that because I'm a Jhin main myself and I love Jhin, but I think Berserker deserves to play a better champion.
I'm definitely a Jhin hater, regardless of this matchup. I mean, the character's fun to play, and when you get fed against bad people, you do just straight up one-shot people, which is dope. But I just think in these games, it's just not reliable. You're not pumping out regular damage. You can't kill tanks, which are very dominant in the meta, not really in support role. I do think actually in this game he did play against a Leona support, so you do need some tank shred there. But also just the way you fight on Jhin is it just has to be a certain way. You want to be so far away, dumping out your damage from really far away, completely safe, but the other team just has the ability with how mobile supports are. That Leona can just get on you. She can drop an ult on your head and stop you from doing that. So the Jhin very rarely works out, and if it does, it's because the rest of the team is doing so good that the Jhin's just a passenger. So.
A lot of the ADCs right now that are seeing success are the people that can fight and make space for themselves at the same time, and Jhin can't do that. He has to have the space, and if he doesn't have the space, he's just getting out. It's not like he can kite you very well like a Caitlyn or an Ashe or someone like that. They can genuinely create space and do damage at the same time. He just can't do that.
Myself and all other Jhin players miss Gale Force. We needed Gale Force. It was so important to dash away or to engage, but without it, he's just so immobile. It's actually unplayable.
I guess it just depends on how the runes are working for them as well right now. And then, of course, we look at Jhin, and there's a couple of different builds. Sometimes you're being forced into the Ghost Blade early, or they're trying to go into Collector early. A Collector doesn't feel the best as a starting item, but it is one of those starting items that you may need. Storm Razor, if you can't get that BF sword on the back, you're probably not going to get that item, and we saw how that game turned out. But they did get the win at the end, so we finally got a little bit of redemption for the LCS after the America's Cup let down. So we will be moving on to play against Gen G. And as we were saying earlier, we're putting some expectations out there, at least getting 2 Drakes. Any other expectations we're looking for, though, that maybe would be, plausible?
I mean, plausible, I don't know. I don't care about them getting Drakes at all. I mean, I feel like Gen G will just let you have a couple Drakes if they feel comfortable in the game position, and that's not something you should write home about. Like, yeah, we got a couple of objectives. I'd like to see them have a lead 15 minutes into the game. That I feel like would be a more concrete goal or actually not concrete, but like it means something if you did that.
Yeah.
There are bad teams who can get 2 Drakes against Gen G.
No, you're right, because Gen G will be like, hey, yeah, you can have the Drake. We'll just take your mid and
Cool,
top
we're
tower.
up 6,000 gold.
Yeah, like they're just going to do something else on the map that they find more valuable. But yeah, I don't know. It hurts that this is the metric that we're saying our wins, like getting Drakes or having a lead. Like we just don't even give ourselves a chance to win a single game, which is probably realistic, but it does hurt. Like I would love to see Lion step up and play the best version of League that they could possibly play, because that's what they're going to have to do if they have a chance. And I think that if they do play their best and Inspired is making good calls and everyone's trusting and nobody's playing like full of fear, they're playing with courage, I think they could actually...
Low expectations is a good position to be in, I think, for teams like Lion and for LCS teams in general. I mean, Dokla has gotten success against people the caliber of Keen before. I mean, Inspired is one of the few Western players who I think could go toe-to-toe with a Canyon. So, who knows?
Hey, go ahead.
I was just going to say, speaking of Dokla, like he's kind of been showing his cards of all these off-meta picks, right? And Gen G has been seeing this. Do you think that, like, there's nothing that he could surprise them with at this point? That...
I would prefer to see him surprise them with good play on a normal champion than pulling out the Vayne or the Varus again. I didn't like the Vayne when he played it against...
BLG?
Loud.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
And yeah, I think I'd rather just see him play an Mbessa that he looked really good on and something and deny those picks. I think if you get off meta against Gen G, it's the wrong way. I think that's the wrong way to do it.
I think in laning phase, he actually could. His laning phase has been somewhat better than it has in the past. He's still at that point where I think a lot of players are targeting him because they know that Inspired might be playing a little more towards that area. So we did see Loud actually start ganking a lot, but he was making really good plays against Loud when he was doing the solo. Like he's forcing out a lot of summoner spells, getting those flashes out. Even when playing the Bane, he actually almost made a good solo play, even though the Bane didn't look good in the long term. In at least the laning phase, he was actually doing pretty solid. So I'm actually looking forward to that matchup the most, because as you said, we can expect Inspired to like at least maybe be level with Canyon, so that's not something we'd be too surprised about. For me, I want to see how Dokla does evolve into the series.
I think bot lane as well has a good chance to compete there. Berserker and Isles, they're really solid. Mid though, I'm worried about Saint. I think this is the kind of matchup where Saint against Chovy, Saint's probably going to try and do a little too much, and I feel like Chovy will likely be not just 1 step ahead of him, but like 3 steps ahead, and that could be the real make or break on the map for them.
It could be a really big mental like block there too, like for Saint, going up against another Korean, the pretty much best Korean mid laner of recent time, and so he knows like, hey, I couldn't even make it in that league. This is the king of that league, and I'm playing him now. I think it could be a big mental block. But what I was gonna say earlier is,
Sorry.
No, you're good. Last time Inspired played Gen G, went to map 5 with FlyQuest at Rose 2024,
That's true.
so could do it again. Who knows?
Same roster too. I mean, for Gen G, the same roster. I mean, that Gen G looked maybe slightly worse than this Gen G, but I would say that FlyQuest looked a little better than this Lion. So who really knows?
As you said, though, it was Worlds, and that's the debuff for Gen G. Though.
That's
this
true.
is not
Oh,
Worlds.
yeah, no, they don't mess
they
around.
have the non-Worlds buff.
Well, this is the
going for
first
them.
time we see them at first stand. So
Right.
who
That's
knows?
true.
I do feel like Gen G kind of has a chip on their shoulder about that, though, right? Like they won basically everything last year except for First Stand and Worlds. So now they're like, okay, if we add First Stand, like now Worlds is the only thing left. So I don't know. That's probably the way they see it.
Yeah.
Loud versus JDG. Should be a good matchup in my opinion. I do think we're going to see a big bounce back from JDG, but Loud showed that they can go toe to toe, and I think with the home crowd behind him, possible buff for them going into this match.
Yeah, this is a weird one. I think, to be honest, I didn't expect Loud to put up as good a fight against Lion as they did. And I don't know if that was because they were playing good or if Lion was playing bad. And JDG is just a whole other caliber of team to both of them, in my opinion. So I don't know. I do think the home crowd buff might do a little bit for them. And they do seem to play well with like an aggressive play style, maybe like the crowd cheering them. They won't be like playing with any fear at all. They'll just go for plays if they see it. And I do think that's kind of the strategy you have to use against a team like JDG if you want a chance to win.
Both
I think
teams
JDG
aggressive.
are going to win.
JDG just, what do you think?
I think they'll smack them.
Smack 'em.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I think JDG will not have to do too much against Loud to win. I think Xiaoju will be pretty just chill and consistent up there in the top lane. And Gala is a monster. I mean, it didn't show much against Genji, but Gala is one of the highest ceiling level AD carries that we have in the entire League of Legends world. So I think he'll smurf well. And the CFO mid jungle, they're really solid. But if Envy can put up another performance like he did against Saint, but this time against Honkyu, I mean, this guy's got a bright future, and the combination of the performance at America's Cup by Furia and not so much Red Canids, but mostly just Furia, and Loud potentially pushing both Lion to 5 and having a competitive series against JDG shows some good signs for the CBLOL.
I will say Vampire has been really big on my radar.
Yeah.
Like, he's been really complimenting Gala so far. And it's hard to compare when the one match that we've seen them play in this tournament so far has been against Genji. But after watching the LPL, you know, Vampire being added to this roster along with everyone else when they did their massive overhaul for JDG going into this year, he's really surprised me. And I've been really enjoying his play for him so far.
They're a superstar team. I think they're still a very new team. Like you said, it's a complete overhaul of the roster, so everybody's still getting used to each other. I think that's why they didn't perform as well necessarily in the LPL as far as, like, they didn't have the best regular season record. But I think, realistically, this is like a superstar roster.
The LPL is just the Wild West, regardless of how good you are as an international team. I mean, even look at anyone's legend doing so well, how they did last year, and then go back into Split 3, almost don't make it to Worlds, and then everything gets pushed back. So LPL actually has looked a lot better, in my opinion, after the removal of the two teams, and they kind of condensed it a little bit more. But this team is definitely showing that they can show up. We'll just have to see how they do in this elimination.
I agree with that too, and I think, like, looking forward, JDG is a little bit of a victim of kind of the format of this tournament. I think it's unfortunate that the way the bracket is set up, we won't. Pretty much, there'd have to be a major upset for us to get to see JDG versus BFX, which is, I think, would be the most competitive matchup for them. But the way it's set up, you know, they play Genji on this side, even if they make it out on the lower side, then they have to face BLG in the first round. So they have to take down a big dog if they want to get the matchup that I want to see. Well, and technically, for that matchup to happen, BFX, both upsets would need to happen.
Right.
Both of the 1 seeds would need to fall. So the format's not great for them, but I think overall play-wise, they look solid. And when they go back to the LPL, they'll have a nice basis to build off of. Because there's some young players here. Xiaoju, Vampire, these are first-timers to the international stage.
One thing I'll say that JDG has over everybody else, they've played more games than any other team in the tournament. They had more Game 5s recently in the LPL. They won multiple Game 5s. They lost multiple Game 5s. So they've been in Game 5s, which means they've got the Fearless Drafts experience, and they've had to go through all these different things, right? And I think that experience can pay off.
No win traders, though, in first stand to give them passes.
We don't need to talk about that. We don't need to talk about that.
I think we're talking about, dude, we remember a few weeks ago we were talking about Ben walking out of the facility and everything.
Yeah.
But now they're like a great team. It's like just crazy how that whole thing like switched around.
BLG.
That was
Crazy.
that came out to be a whole misunderstanding, though, if I'm not mistaken. Like, he was just like, oh yeah, I just left because like I need to go get some food. Like, but everyone was like, oh, freaking out, Ben's leaving the team. But no,
I think they said that just to cover their butt, kind of.
it could have been.
Maybe. We're going to go ahead and move on. We at least know 2 teams now that will be moving on. Or one team, sorry, the one team.
Watch it.
Yep,
Chris.
watch it.
This finger will come from off frame, and I'll point out an issue.
It's not actually from today. I'm just going ahead.
You
and be
know,
like,
we
GG
know.
is moving on.
We know FearX is going to be G2 too.
Wait, okay. Maybe. We'll see. We'll see. But we're going to go ahead and pull off a bracket. I've kind of started off, but we're going to have everyone else fill out theirs first before I finalize mine. So maybe I can have some spicy takes. We'll see what everyone else does, whether or not we're being rational or we're hoping for some of our matches. You can put what you hope happens as
So
well.
we're just filling the beginning of the playoff bracket.
First we're
What
gonna
4
start with-
teams do we think are going to make it? I might not even be on the correct position in the bracket for where they make it out of, but I'm going to list the 4 teams that I think.
You can just you can list out what they are. We can talk about matchups later, or a possible matchup later as we move on to who might win. But if you go ahead and start, we can go ahead and see our first one here from Davis.
My 4 teams is going to be BLG, Gen.G, JDG, and then the upset. I got G2 going over BFX, so that's my spicy take
Obviously,
there.
I was wrong. Well, we'll say Fear-X. No, I was going to say G2. Gen.G was moving on.
Okay, so back on this side, I've got mine over here on the side. I'm no boring. I'm the LCK and the LPL teams are going to make it out. I don't think Loud will put up a great fight. I don't think Lion will put up a great fight against JDG, and I don't think G2's really got the chops to take down Fear-X. So I'm a boring Andy today.
I'm also a boring Andy. I just don't think the tournament format gives the Western teams enough reps going into the bracket to really have a chance. Typically when we've seen a G2,
We need a group stage.
Yeah, exactly. Typically when we've seen a G2 go on a good run internationally, it's because they got a lot of reps to play a lot leading into the playoffs to continue that run. But I just don't see it happening.
All right, well, I'm going to go on my spicy take, and I'm going to put faith in Lion here to move on. It's actually, if I do think that they can win, the one team that I do think that they would be able to beat possibly would be JDG. I think that's a matchup that maybe their unorthodox style could come in, but it could be something that Inspired does lead them. Because last year we saw them go toe-to-toe, FlyQuest go toe-to-toe with BLG at MSI. I think it's something that could happen again. And I do think the drafting could be a little bit better on the side of Lions. So if we're going to see an upset, I think that's going to be
What's funny is, Chris, if you show your bracket again, feasibly, you could have these teams make it out and they could be in different positions. Like, if Lion beats Gen.G tomorrow, then you've got Lion versus Fear-X on the low side of the bracket. BLG versus Gen.G first round of playoffs.
That would be crazy.
That would be crazy.
That would be sick. Dude.
That would suck for viewership. You'd have your viewership spike in the quarterfinals. Unless then you get Lion making it to grand finals.
There's no quarterfinal. It's just
semifinals. The first matchup. That's right.
All right, so now we're going to go ahead and move on. And if you want to draw out the full bracket, you can. If you just want to put the winner, that's also fine. But let's go ahead and see who we are going to predict to at least win. You already have it? He was already writing over there. Okay.
Davis pre-writing.
Spicy and big take.
Let's go ahead and see it.
Gen.G.
Nah.
Surprise.
Surprise.
Who's if you got Gen.G winning, who do you think is giving them the toughest matchup? Is it BLG in the finals, or is it the quarterfinals against potentially JDG?
I think BLG. Actually, I don't know. I think either one of those teams are probably the toughest matchup because, those teams also went back and forth a little bit in LPL this year. So I think those two teams realistically are about the same, I think. But I would say BLG. Maybe I'm favoring a little bit more.
Gen.G versus BLG in the final, 3-1 Gen.G.
Okay.
That's what I got.
I am going BLG.
Okay.
To win the whole thing.
To win the whole thing in the finals against Gen.G. I think by the time they'll play them, they might have had enough motion in the BLG train. The things could be rolling. Their solo laners look good enough where if you told me in that series that Knight and Ben get leads in top and mid every single game, I wouldn't be that surprised by it. And if they're in that position, they could easily take down Gen.G. So I'm rocking with the Chinese, the LPL.
I can see it.
Well, my spicy take is unfortunately not winning by. I want to see, as I said, the rematch between Inspired and BLG. This time they get the win. They go to the grand finals, but then of course Gen.G just is Gen.G, and we see a rematch of whatever may happen tomorrow. But maybe if they lose and Lion win tomorrow, it's just I have to redo this whole entire thing and apologize to Lion for that.
But impressive. That'd be a huge win for Lion to pull that off.
Really
100%. If they beat Gen.G tomorrow, that will be amazing. Nothing short of it.
I mean, if they beat BLG this weekend, that would also be amazing. I mean,
I feel like for any Western team to beat any Eastern team is a big win at this tournament.
Specifically, also one of the top ones. I feel like when you're matching up against maybe not their 2 seed, because their 2 seeds are usually really strong, but when we come to Worlds and we get to play against their 3 or their 4 seeds, then it becomes a closer to an even matchup. But against the top the top of the top of the best leagues in the world.
Also, it's a lot different in my opinion. Yes, Fear-X was the 2 seed from this event from Korea, but it's also it's their first international. When you're playing Gen.G, who's the giant of the region along with T1, it's a lot different than. I wouldn't be as surprised if we were able to pull up an upset against Fear-X because it's who knows, maybe the nerves got to them a little bit. They're in their first international playoff. That's not as surprising as beating a Gen.G or something like that.
Yeah, they could at least outthink the youngsters, right? Inspired, I think if Inspired matches against BFX, he has the brain power to outthink them in the macro game, but maybe individually it just won't matter because they'll fall behind in their solo lanes. But I don't know. We'll see.
We'll have to see. It'll happen tomorrow. We'll cover it next week. You let us know in the predictions or in the comments below your predictions on who will win. You can make a bracket or you can join our Discord to let us know there. So we'll be watching the games and you can chat with us. But we're going to go ahead and move on to some of the big stories around League of Legends. And right now, one of the biggest ones is also happening in Brazil. They have passed a law in Brazil that requires the age of games, like ECA law basically, that requires you to be 18 or older on certain games. So since League of Legends has the loot boxes and that is considered gambling, that now League of Legends is moving to this. It went into effect yesterday, I believe. And so now there's a member of some of the CBLOL members that are 17 actually can't play on some personal accounts. Riot's allowing them to play on the Riot given accounts, but right now we could see a dip in some of the players, and this could affect some of the European countries as well that some of these laws are coming into. Do we see a big shift? Does Riot make any moves? What do we think about this?
I think if Riot's smart, they'll just abide by the law in the country and like not make loot boxes a thing, just maybe change their microtransaction model within that specific region.
Yep.
I think that makes the most sense for Riot, because to allow loot boxes to stay and meaning that you lose all your under 18 players, that's a pretty big player base, believe it or not. Like there's a lot of young players that are still playing the game or just starting to play the game. And they obviously are very interested in capturing the attention of new players, as you could see from them adding WASD and the last hit mechanics and all things like that. So it would be, in my opinion, in line with their strategy to just change their model for microtransactions in countries that are banned like this.
I also think there's a world where Riot says, whatever your law is, sure. I mean, sue us if you want, but we're not changing our format. I mean, you can get rid of the 17-year-olds, but the reason League of Legends esports is a thing is it's marketing to make money for the game itself, and I don't think they're going to cut off the cash cow, which is loot boxes and stuff, to allow the CBLOL to continue competing with 17-year-olds and stuff. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's actually really interesting because that right there, it's like Riot's whole cash cow and the way that they're making all their money as of the recent years is their microtransactions. And it's like the game's not growing nearly as much as it was. So it's really like the microtransactions are their backbone. So I think it becomes really an interesting conversation as far as like what does Riot do in this situation? Do they really care about the Brazilian scene that much, or what actually happens? I think that makes it interesting. I do think it's very, very unfortunate for the Brazilian players, obviously, because, I mean, if you can't legally play the game until you're 18, how do you formulate like a youth that can, you know, replace the CBLOL talent as they age out? So I think it stinks for them, but interesting conversation.
I also just morally have a kind of an issue with this. I think it's a little bit of a dumb law to pass. I think, yes, there are dangers that go along with young people using the internet and interacting with strangers who they have no idea who's who, but I don't think the gambling aspect of it is really what needs to be focused on. Like, great, cool, we're not letting the kids play League of Legends until they're 18 because there's loot boxes, but they're going to watch TV and YouTube and be slammed with DraftKings and Prize Pig ads, and like all these things are still going to be shoved in their face constantly. They're still going to be exposed to it. It just won't be through League of Legends, which I don't really see the point in that. So,
well, the law, I think the goal would be to stop young people from doing any type of gambling or loot boxes, which I think is a W in a lot of ways, because it is becoming a bigger problem. I mean, gambling is the reason that we have the match fixing and all these other things. It's like it's becoming a global issue faster than a lot of people are paying attention to, in my opinion. Europe has actually made the most impressive law changes to this, and they've got like a full committee that's against gambling and loot boxes, and they're making a lot of big changes over in Europe, and I think that other people are noticing. The interesting part at play here for me is like, what's the population of Brazilian players compared to other regions?
They're pretty solid.
Brazil as a country is massive in population, so I would assume they might even have more players than North America. I could be wrong.
Yes, no, you're right. They do.
Okay. So like that, if that's a huge part of your market and you're Riot, like you should do whatever you can to maintain them, in my opinion. Which,
even if it means maintaining them with no profit?
Well, they can find profit in other ways. Like the law is about loot boxes because it's similar to gambling. But if you still allow skin sales, like they're still going to profit pretty immensely. Just not the same way the loot boxes do. That's the way I see it.
I feel like the part of the issue is that anytime you try to prohibit something, you end up just causing it to happen more.
That's true.
And whether it's alcohol, gambling, anything, I think if you try to completely limit people's access to it. Once they then get access to it, they will consume it in negative ways. So there needs to be something. Maybe there can be some change to how loot boxes, like they need to very clearly indicate what your odds are, and they have to be completely
I think
honest.
that's already in
They
the
do
client.
that, 'cause
It's already in the
that's
client.
the only way
then
it
it might-
allows it for
Yeah.
Europe to do it is because of those odds and everything.
And then, in my opinion, if that's the case, then I think you should let it rock. At a certain point, like you have to be responsible for yourself and your finances, or the finances of your kid, or how your kids consume these things. So I'm actually I don't know what political affiliation that makes me. If it makes me libertarian or something, but
yeah, I think
something.
somewhere around there. Yeah.
The interesting thing that I know Counter-Strike's doing for their loot box system is they're providing like a X-ray thing. So it literally would let you X-ray the case, and Counter-Strike is what it is, but you would be able to X-ray your loot box and essentially see what item that you would get from it to see if it's
Do you have to
worth
pay to
opening.
use the X-ray?
Nah, you don't.
Okay, good.
And so I think that's a cool system, but then I don't know if the publishers would want to do that because it's just like
Defeats the purpose.
defeats the purpose. Yeah, it's not like gambling anymore at that point. It's like, oh, you know you're going to get this good item, so of course you're going to buy this.
Yeah.
And they don't want that. They want you to spend all your money.
hunt.
So.
Yeah, they want you to pay for 3 skins to get the 1 skin.
Which is kind of messed up. I just
It
don't
is.
like,
I mean, I don't spend money on League. So
I just don't. I don't like any system that's like kind of taking advantage of people to earn cash. Like, and that's what it feels like. A lot of these loot boxes are to me. I mean, maybe I'm just a boomer and I'm whatever, but I'm happy that countries are kind of putting their foot down and being like, no, we don't want our kids to throw away their life savings and now can't afford to go to college because they spent all their money on League of Legends loot boxes. It's like, it's a problem. It's a real problem.
I just kind of hope that whatever they do, they find a way around to at least help, rising talent in the scene.
For sure.
I mean, whether or not the law stays and they just find a way, like a Riot given account that you can't do anything on like that for a growing player, maybe that's something that they can do to get
I
around.
don't think
the
that would
shot-
work though. That's if Riot, if for young and up and coming talent, you need to be given an account by Riot. Like that's not going to be easily accessible. Like if that's the barrier to entry to compete, you won't have young players.
Plus, there's like privacy issues, right? Because like, how are you going to prove your age to the client? Like, do you have to upload your ID to the client, and then the shop is disabled until you turn 18? But then it's like, I don't want to upload my ID to the client. Like, I don't.
Yes, that's supposedly the age verification.
That's what they're
bits
going to
that they
do.
have
Which
on
like,
Federal ID.
that's privacy concerns too. Because then what if Riot gets hacked and now somebody's got your driver's license? Like, it's a mess, and it's a hard problem to solve. I'll be honest.
But moving on, I mean, League Next. We've talked about the one champion only coming out this year. There are rumors circulating now that with League Next, there will be 5 champions released with it, though. So we've seen a couple of them pop up. One of them also being Nora, that's in Wild Rift. So maybe they already have some plans to release this, though. But we've kind of heard on both sides whether or not one champion is good or if there should be more. But here we can see these are some of the possibilities of what we may come out. I think it'd be pretty cool if on League Next there's a release that they have like kind of tailored champions to maybe like Wasti or something that are coming out. Nora, I think would probably be pretty easy because I played her in Wild Rift and she's really accessible on that game as well. But I think it'd be really nice if we saw some, League Next specific champions.
This makes no sense to me. How are you going to release 1 champ a year and then during an update drop 5 or 6 new champs in one go? Like that makes zero sense.
I'm not
to
sure
me.
if it's one go or if it's over the course of that 27 year.
So then over that year, you're getting 6 to 7 times the amount that we got this year. Like that makes no sense to me. I feel like that's
What it screams to me is they're going to be sunsetting some champions and removing some other ones from League regular,
Ooh, okay.
which I think is a W.
to me this seems like a weird. If this is the case, one I just don't really fully believe this rumor. Like I feel like those look like just some drawings, and some of them could be from Wild Rift. So like
Someone could be AI
One of them was
created.
also like the champion that we saw from the last cinematic from Demacia as well.
But what I don't believe is that they'll come out all in one year or all in one go. I mean, I feel like if that's the case, then Riot has been dubiously taking their creating powers for these past 2 years when they've only released 2 and 3 champions, and they've been secretly making other champions to just all release in one go, which I don't mess with. You should be releasing. I don't want to beat a dead horse and say that you should be releasing more than 1 champ a year.
I
but
think
you
they
should.
have a backlog of probably at least 50 plus champions that they have already lined up. Maybe not all ready to go, but I could see like those drawing concepts already have been like locked in for a good couple of years now, and maybe this was the time that they were waiting for release because we've already seen a couple of Wild Rift specific champions come out, kind of like Nora. But Who do you want the sunset? I want to know this. What do you think, and why is it Yumi?
Actually, I couldn't name you all the ones because it gets complicated when you talk about like competitive versus solo queue. But solo queue, I would love to see a couple top laners get removed, like Darius, Garen.
Oh, they can't. They can't remove.
We got
those.
a 19-year-old here talking about removing champions who are older than him. Those are classic. Those are like the champions that make and break league.
2. And this is League 2. Exactly. So get them out of here, dude.
Nah,
I honestly
can't.
wouldn't mind
You
them
can't.
sunsetting every champion from League of Legends and starting new and fresh.
No, that's faded. That's the most faded thing I think I've ever heard you say, Davis. To be honest with you.
I don't
This
think
game's been
they should
around
not.
for forever, dude.
They should not sunset champions,
No,
man. That's a bad idea.
They clearly don't have any desire to do that. They've been reworking every champion, right? They just reworked Shyvana, right? Which I
Came
saw
out today. Pretty cool.
Yeah, I think I saw she's got a 55 win rate already, 55%. But yeah, I don't know. My issue with this is they already struggle with balance when they drop one champion a year. So if you drop 5, like to consider all of the possible matchups and interactions that these champions have with other champions, to throw it into the meta simultaneously, like it'd be exciting, but like there would be some broken combinations that don't get patched for too long. Like
But exciting.
it would be exciting, and people are probably going to spend a ton of money on it, and you know they're a business after all.
Where is
That is
this?
the point.
What I'm confused about is if this is exciting, how come 2 weeks ago when we were on the show and I was saying that they should release more champions, it wasn't exciting that we have more champions in. It was that it's too overwhelming. Like that
That's
the
why I'm
number
saying
is
they need
too
to sunset
the number is too much.
Well,
but
think about a new player starting to play today.
Yeah.
Like it's
There might
almost
be
impossible.
one new player every
right?
day on League of Legends. Maybe if that.
No,
no, it is
there's-
overwhelming. But like that's why I'm
yeah.
like.
They're just gonna have. I don't know. I mean, I can see both sides of the argument. I just don't think they're ever going to remove champions because they've already invested so much into them, and not that it's like sunken cost fallacy or whatever, but it's like there's
It's
people
the fact
that
that
fall
you
in love with
yeah,
champions.
you would alienate every champion that Davis hates that he wants removed. There are probably 20,000 die-hard
Yeah,
Darius fans
they got a
who
plushie
every time a
that they
Darius
sleep with
skin
Darius every
releases,
night,
they're
like-
spending on it. And every time Darius is shown in,
Yeah.
in a cinematic, they're buying the battle pass and stuff. And you alienate those people when you sunset any champion. Every champion has a fan.
For sure. I think that's the main reason that they wouldn't remove champions is because every champion has big fans.
Well, in the comments below, I don't care about whether or not you like the new champions coming. I just want to see all the Darius haters go after Davis. So all the Darius haters,
The Darius haters would be on in his
sorry,
favor.
the Darius lovers go against this Darius
Just
hater.
attack Davis for
or
any
if you're a
reason.
Darius
I
hater,
played Darius
agree
a
with
ton,
him.
dude. I
That's
played
actually
Darius a ton.
true.
He's
That's
just
just funny
busted and
because
needs
he's
to be
probably
removed
the
from
one
game,
person who's
bro.
played it the most out of all of us. Is the one who's saying no, go away.
Yeah, because he
That'd
needs to be
me
removed. He's
saying,
busted.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, all you have to do is kite him around.
Listen,
And
if-
remove
if-
Scion too, so Tanner suffers.
Oh, that's messed
I
up.
can hear the yelling coming out of here. We're gonna have Tanner just busted.
If Big Dokes pulls out Darius and solo kills Keen, I'm with you. We can sunset it. Until then, it's not busted.
No one's playing Darius at this tournament, bro.
Oh,
Yeah,
No,
he's not
no,
busted.
Adam. If only Adam made it.
I don't know. I could definitely.
They don't
see
know about
Dokla
that.
maybe doing that.
Yeah, Doklo, if
Dokla,
anyone would do
if
it, it'd
anyone
probably be
would be
Doklo. But yeah.
All right, so we'll move on. We do have Game Changers coming back. So Neo is an organization, I believe it's New Esports Organization is the name for it. They have taken over
Wow,
Game Changers in.
Sorry, clever name for there. Sorry.
They have taken over Game Changers in Europe, and with all the L's that have been happening tier 2, I believe this is a W. This is the organization that's been running EMEA Masters. They ran Evo France last year, which was a huge success as well. So I think it's kind of cool that we have stuff like the NCL taking hits hard here, but we have also some trying to join in and make sure that league is still going. So pretty cool for them. What do you guys think, though?
I think it's a W. I think that it was a shame when this went away in the first place, so it's really cool to see it coming back to get the ladies to play and feel comfortable in League of Legends. And gaming as a whole, I think, has had a lot of really successful women's leagues like Valorant. Their women's league is pretty popular as well, so I think they're kind of piggybacking off of their success as they do this.
I think as a viewer, it's got to be a W pretty much. I'm interested to see how long it will stay and what their kind of path forward is, but I think just it's got to be a W as far as like giving women their opportunity to play. So.
I think it's the W with the organization that's coming in. Because as you said, like, I think with anyone else, it may have been iffy, like how long it lasts. But we do have the tournament organizer who's running EMEA Masters, who's running Evo France. So I want to at least assume that they have some sort of ability to at least judge how they should be able to run this tournament that makes it, maybe not too much at a loss for them. So I'm assuming they're probably going to take a little bit. But also, it's a name that's reputable that other, orgs will want to be like, okay, well, they're running it. Maybe it would be okay for us to get inside of it.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It's definitely a cool thing for the people who get to compete and who watch it, but it doesn't interest me much, so I probably won't be watching. I do have questions. I mean, like, what is going to be different about this era of Game Changers that will make it succeed now, or will it just same thing? Not that many. There won't be that much interest in it. There won't be that much viewership, and it'll fizzle out again in League. I'm a little skeptical, but more power to the people competing and excited.
We'll have to see. But we already had a little bit of a preview pop up there for our viewers watching. We did have Witchcraft. We're not talking about Los Ratones. We're talking about Witchcraft here. They cursed themselves. They fell to G2 Nord twice. And I have to say, I'm a bit happy because Toasty popping off from NA showing what they're all about. But looking at this team, we had a lot of success from Los Ratones. They did not do well as Witchcraft. We saw all the drama around behind it. Did they curse themselves trying to make this team?
I mean, I'm just going to say it. I called it. I said they started arguing with each other a couple weeks ago. Was it even a couple weeks ago?
Yeah.
It was a couple.
Two.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago.
Also known as a couple.
So, like, I don't know. I just had a feeling that this wouldn't be resolved overnight. I mean, for 10 hours of an argument to ongo, like, you don't just let go of that as a player. Yeah. And I think that just ultimately bubbled back up to the surface. They were not on the same page. They lost to a team they weren't supposed to lose to. And now they're out.
I think these guys flew too close to the sun. I think they had something great last year with LR, and it ended, and they tried to keep it going. And I've been in that situation before where a relationship is ending, and I see all the signs written on the wall that say, move on from this, go find something new. Like, separate yourself while things are still good, and then you just try to keep forcing it to work, and things just boil over.
Relationships can happen like that too.
Yeah, they really can. And, I think Kadriel was a guiding force for the team that kept everybody in check, kept things good and positive. And then you lose Kadriel, you bring in potentially another negative Nelly in terms of Whippo. I don't think Whippo does much to help. He's
Team
a good
morale.
player, but in terms of team morale, he's an aggro player. He gets in arguments with people. He's got strong beliefs and refuses to back down on them. And I think, yeah, they definitely cursed themselves. They flew too close to it. This is Icarus. That's how I view this team.
The thing that I think is interesting, and I think that played a part in this, is the fact that they didn't have 400,000 viewers that they knew that were going to be supporting them every single week and every single match. And I think that weighs heavier on your shoulders, especially dropping back down to when they're in the LEC with 400,000 viewers watching them play the biggest teams in the world. They're dropping back down to just playing MEA Masters teams who are genuinely hungry and trying to get to the top. I think that's something that kind of mentally weighed on them as well.
It was really interesting watching the game. So I was actually watching and listening to voice comms, and every time Whippo does something, oh, my bad, while he's going and dying out of like times that really shouldn't have happened. And you can definitely tell the mix-up between having a player like Baus, where they probably learned how to play around him, trying to go to a player like Whippo, trying to play around him, definitely did not work. And then, of course, we have Crowny, who's taking shots at everyone, probably but Nemesis on his team, because then he was like talking about, oh, they were only playing towards top. Belia was only playing towards top once Whippo came. There's a whole Reddit thing that Tanner showed me about that, and I'm just like, I'm not sure why this team, if this is happening, why they decided to go. As you said, maybe they're just riding off the coattails of what happened with LR and wanted to try to make that run into EMEA Masters, so maybe they can make EWC, but
This whole situation, I think, has looked very negatively on Crowny. The way he handled the review with Velia, the comments afterwards, I mean, he's looked borderline immature, and everything that I had built up in terms of excitement and happiness for him and thinking, oh, he's about to revitalize his career post-LR, I'm starting to doubt it more and more. If I'm building a team in Europe right now, I'm not picking Crowny. I might be willing to pick Nemesis. I might be willing to take Reckless. I might be willing to take Velia, but I don't think I'm taking Crowny.
I mean, that was the whole LR story, right? Is all these players that were overlooked, or like people, maybe they burned bridges with the wrong people, so they didn't get chances on teams. And then they finally got the chance with LR. But my thing is, like, Whippo is probably has to be a better player than Baus.
yes.
But Baus was kind of like the spirit of the team before, right? And like, I don't know, there was kind of like a whimsical nature to Baus where like, yeah, he might be going 0-5, but he's making you laugh, and then he somehow makes a hero play late in the game or something. And like Bwipo is just so different of a player from that like the team's just not going to function the same way. And then on top of that, you add the tension of all these like arguments, and then it was a downhill spiral.
Yeah.
Reckless did though say that he is open for 80 carry support or coaching for 27. We're talking about players potentially that could maybe get something. I could definitely see him either maybe trying another run in tier 2, but I think him being a coach would actually be a really good jump for his career. I think, even LEC level teams, maybe even just as a positional coach to start out would be pretty good.
I don't know how I feel about that. I'm a big Reckless fan, but Reckless is not the kind of guy who like seems like he like dominates like VOD reviews and stuff. Like, he's a little bit of a passive player. He likes to just play his game, not talk much. Even when he was 80 carry, he was not a I'm gonna call everything. So I actually don't know if coaching is really the right avenue for him. Maybe positionally he could give some advice to some people.
Yeah, that's why.
And there are probably orgs who would see value in having him as a coach just because of the brand and the fame and the notoriety. But I don't know if he's. I want to see him keep going as support. I don't want to see him go back to 80 carry. I want to see him keep improving his skills and continue to flourish in that career path.
Yeah, that's why I think positional coach, because that's more one-on-one that you could do, and it's not really having to take over. It's let's just take a look over this real quick. I don't think head coach though. I kind of agree with you on that, but I think someone who's able to do scouting, meta-analysis, you probably use this experience. Personally though, I kind of want to see him on 80 carry. I was a big fan of his back in the day. Yeah. I'd like to see one more run, but I agree with you. Probably better on support.
Yeah, bring him to the NA, dude. He could play better than a lot of these supports on lower level teams. I'm thinking
that'd be interesting.
I don't think that would ever happen.
Who do you think though that he would take over if he wanted to do that?
I think he could walk into disguised bot lane. I think realistically, I think he could take over. Or sorry,
Reckless just vomited.
I didn't mean to say disguised.
He just threw up.
I meant to say Dignitas.
Oh no, now he's doubly thrown up.
That's probably worse. I was about to say I don't think
he could definitely
him
take
going
over for
into
Seos as well. Seos has been very unimpressive in my opinion.
Seos maybe. I think Seos just had a bit of a bad split. I think Seos will have a good glow up these next 2 splits. I think he's a very good player. And it's just kind of the whole thing surrounding SR that kind of went in. The Skies, I don't think.
I didn't mean to say this guy's at all. He's not going into that team. That team actually has a really good outlook going forward.
I was about to say.
I don't think there's a world where he goes to a bottom NA team. I mean,
no, that would not make sense. He'd have to relocate his whole life and everything too.
I mean, he just played in that EMEA Masters team. It's not like he's coming from something big.
Oh, but he's in Europe though.
Yeah, I think he likes where he
wants
lives.
to compete though. You go where you compete.
I don't think he's at the stage of his career that he wants to move across the world.
He just said that he wants to continue it. So.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying I don't think he's in the stage of his life where he wants to move across the world.
To be on a Dignitas or a Disguise or a Shopify Rebellion.
I think if that was the case, he'd probably stay in LCK Challengers with a T1.
Yeah.
I'd like to see him on a bottom LEC team. I mean, I could see that happening, and it seems reasonable. I think he's good enough to do it as a support, and the opportunity's there. So
there too, as well, 100%.
Yeah.
Either one of those regions.
We'll have to see. Let us know if what you think about the witchcraft stuff, and if we see any of those players make a return. But that's going to be all for us today. We're going to go ahead and wait until our next episode where we'll talk about the remaining first stand and other big stories from around the league. Thank you all for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Bye.